Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Small Business Success Talk. I am your host, Christy Smallwood. And even I know this room sounds a little echoey today. So if it's coming across the recording, I apologize and I have no idea why. I haven't changed anything in this space. And apparently, it's just one of those days. If you've ever had one of those days, then you'll know exactly what I am talking about. So, thank you for coming to another episode of Small Business Success Talk. I have enjoyed doing this show for the past few years. It has evolved over time into something really pretty cool. And I'm hoping to definitely grow the audience because that I want more people to not only be spotlighted, but to know if you're a small business owner or you're developing a small business, you're not alone in all of the things that you go through. And why you're doing it is to have some freedom, flexibility, live out the dream, all of the reasons why it's still important to get up and do it every single day. We are here for you and here for that in all of the various ways. And as I'm continuing to segment out this types of interviews, the types of the show that I'm releasing, ideally every week, if I would stay on it and consistent and, that kind of stuff, then it's going to be a well-rounded show eventually. And you'll see this show evolve over time, but I want to start incorporating some more fun things, as well as strategy, as well as tactics, as well as interviews, as well as all kinds of different stuff that I'm really excited about pulling out and making this year as vibrant as I possibly can be for this show. So if you have been a long time watcher, listener, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You keep me going. I get feedback in my community a lot about, hey, I saw this episode and I loved it. And then we have conversation about it. It's wonderful. So keep that up, have conversations with each other, share an episode with a friend or two that you resonate with and or have a great story about. If you see somebody on this show that you want to help spotlight in your organization, by all means, reach out. Their contact information, how to find them on socials is always in the show notes. So you can go to smallbusinesssuccesstalk.biz and find all of the episodes there, as well as the information about each of those episodes. If you are watching or listening on one of your favorite channels, your go-to ways of participating with podcasts, be it Spotify or YouTube or Google or whatever's, subscribe. And then that way, when I release a new episode, it'll notify you. And then that way you won't miss something. You don't have to always go to the website, but you can always go to the website if you want. It's a great backup. So that's a little bit of housekeeping before we get started today, because today, ladies and gentlemen, my friends, you're stuck with me. It's a Christie's Corner today. But I was thinking this through, and you're going to see me look to the side a little bit because my notes about this show are actually on my whiteboard. If you've watched this show at all, you know I love me some whiteboards. I have three on this side of the room. So I have two doors in like this middle section. Each space has its own whiteboard. And then over to my other side, next on my it's shelving over here, I have another whiteboard. Shocker. I use whiteboards all over the place. Each whiteboard has its own functionality. I do color coding. Like, I really get into this kind of stuff. One of the biggest reasons I do that is because I have my own ADD, ADHD. I have a lot of methods in which I control a lot of things, but I have to clear the clutter in my head on a regular basis. And so it needs to be out in front of me so I will actually do something with it. That's a good whiteboard because I can put it out there and then either file it away where it needs to go or pick it up and put it into an actual action plan. So for today's show, there's the background about my whiteboards. I have notes for this show up on the whiteboard. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was marketing. Mainly the overview topic is going to be marketing. Now I'm working on a few more workshops for this year in that marketing realm, marketing and strategy, so that I can bring it into companies or agencies or general public for small businesses like you into the chambers. I'd love to do a chamber tour and provide this because when we think about marketing today, we're looking at AI, we're looking at, Twitter change to X, we're looking at what to do with Facebook ads or LinkedIn or TikTok and reels and videos and all of the things. Well, those are tactics. That's the activity in which you're going to do your marketing. So that's the end result, like the end product is what you put out into a specific channel. Where I specialize is the strategy of what to do where. So we're inundated in a day of there's this new thing, the shiny object syndrome, I like to call it in marketing. There's a new channel. Should I be on this new, like Clubhouse came out? And then which one has threads? I think Facebook has threads. Is anybody really using that? Not sure. Like there's going to be more than a handful. However, early adopters, has it really taken off like the X, Twitter, whatever is? Every channel is also going to have its evolution. So a communication channel can be everything from in the early 30s, 40s was radio. You had radio. And then you had this invention of TV. Oh my gosh. Now you can actually see the people doing stuff in your own home. You didn't have to go to a play or go, somewhere to watch. So once you get into all of that, now you have radio and TV. And TV at the time, y'all, they took nights off. Like they closed it down. It wasn't 24/7. The rhythm in which we took in the communication that was given us through these different channels was limited and paced out really well. So the pace in which you would do things back in the day is definitely not that pace now. Now we have no way of shutting it off. We have TVs in our bedroom. I personally, I don't have a TV in the bedroom and I'm thinking I'm winning. However, I use my cell phone as an alarm clock. And I know that that's bad too, because then I scroll on my cell phone before I even go to sleep. Now, why am I bringing this up with marketing? Well, because of us doing our own habits, we see this stuff, right? We see the end result of somebody else's marketing plan. We're seeing their activity and we think, oh my gosh, I need to be doing X, Y, Z, A, B, C, L, M, N, O, like all of the things, the entire alphabet of things that need to be done start to overwhelm us because it's marketing activity. Where I specialize, so back to my specialty, is not so much in the how to do that channel, how to use Chat GPT, how to use Instagram Reels, how to do the stuff. I can teach you that. I can help with that. I can do it for you. But my specialty, my strength is getting you to understand how marketing works in the first place. Meaning, if you understand human behavior, if you understand you, your target audience, and how you help them solve a specific problem or two or five, whatever, that is the basis of anything you choose to do out in the world. Let's hone in on that. Always come back to that. That is your foundation. That's the center point. The activity in which you choose, you don't have to do everything under the sun. Your target audience is not going to be literally everywhere. What you're going to discover about your target is the places in which you can disrupt their attention to get it. You need to capture their attention where they are, and it may not be Facebook, believe it or not. I know there's billions of people on Facebook, but what if they're not there all day every day when you post? Then what happens after that? So some key questions that I ask my clients whenever I work with them in a marketing plan capacity before we even start a tactic, before I even make the website, before we even start on a social media content plan. And I don't care what size of company this is, we need to start with basic questions. How do you want to show up in the world? How do you, as a corporate entity, as a business brand, want to show up in the world? That's number one. Number two, who are you showing up for? Because if the answer that you come up with is everybody needs help, anybody who walks, I'm like, no, you need to start narrowing that down because I do always have this conversation. When you talk to your target audience, you need to pretend they're sitting across the table from you. And if you pick a target that is so massive, you can't fit everybody around that table. Pick that 1 to 2 to 3 at the most people that you know you're helping and have that conversation with them across the table. If you were having that sales conversation, and please, for the love of all things godly and holy and sunshiny and vibrant, do not, do not get salesy. And if you don't know if you're being salesy or not, you're being salesy. So work on communication skills. That's a whole different episode. When you are sitting with your target and you're having a conversation about how to help them solve this problem, because they're looking to you to guide them through it. Great. That's the conversation you want to start with. And you want to formulate that conversation in such a way you can translate it into any communication channel for your marketing activities. Almost every client I've sat down with, almost every, does not have this in place. And this is what I have to back people up to be able to work on their activity. If you come to me saying, I just want some social media out there so that we're active. No. What do you expect it to do? Because also with those clients who said, I just want social media out there, they expect it to make sales. That's not what social media does. Social media doesn't make sales for you. Social media is part of the conversation that can lead to lead generation so that eventually you're making a sale. But you have to know where it fits in your customer journey. Where does social media fit in the customer journey? So back to knowing your target audience, you also want to know, how are they finding you? How do they typically find somebody that solves their problem in that area? What's the first thing they do? Do they go to a search engine or do they ask their mom? Like, you don't know until you sit down and figure that out. You discover and define what this beginning stuff looks like. Once you have all of this in place, what happens is your decision making about what activities to do becomes so much easier and more efficient, and you're not wasting money. You're choosing better people to work with because now you know better questions to ask on the front end as well, because now you know how to set your own expectations. I am a huge proponent of educating small business owners on marketing, just kind of in general, so that you know, regardless of where you are or what you're trying to accomplish, you know how to ask the really good questions to see if the person you're getting ready to hire, the agency, the freelancer, the whatever, um, knows their stuff, that they are credible, that they're up to date on things. Because if you're hiring somebody to do something for you, you definitely want to make sure they know how to work the channel. If you are going to do all of your marketing yourself, you need to find somebody that you can learn the how-tos from. But if you don't have your foundation in place, the how to do that thing in the channel isn't going to matter. Like, if, putting funny stuff out there is great, then what? You gain an audience, then what? Because part of your marketing journey, the activity, is also the follow-up system. At what point are they transitioning from general audience to a qualified lead? Do you have that customer journey wrote down? These are the things that I will help my clients do, because when you're figuring out, and I just had this with a client of mine this week, and she's doing some things on her own, which is awesome. I love that she's getting creative. She gets excited about that. But she's sending me the concept, and it's a referral program. And we're walking through, okay, so and literally just drawing it out on PowerPoint, grouping that image together, screenshotting it back in the email, so that I'm literally drawing a picture. If the client does this, then they would do that. Then that would happen. So if they do this, it's a kind of an if-then chart. That way you can start pinpointing, one, behavior, and two, the work that you need to do to make sure when they take that behavior, something's ready for them. My own weakness is follow up systems. I thoroughly suck at it. That's my big goal for my big objective. I hate to say goals. Big objective for 24 is to, first of all, develop great follow up systems and processes. Have a plan in place when I go speak somewhere, doesn't matter where it is. What's the follow up from that particular speaking platform? Is it a general email? Is it a video? Is it what is it? I don't have it in place. Is it a handout? Don't know. I don't want it to be the same thing for every single audience because every audience is a little different. So I need to formulate what that follow-up system looks like. And one thing I don't know about you, but I am not the database person. I don't like sitting behind the computer all freaking day long. When I have too much project work, I become like the permanently exhausted pigeon. That's what it feels like. So I know I have to pace myself and get balanced out and things like that. Today is a very gorgeous, sunshiny day outside. I'm looking forward to getting out in that. I don't care what the temperature is. I need more sunshine in my life. I completely lost my train of thought. Oh, follow up systems, database, CRM work. And so when I have to do too much project work, I don't spend time in my CRM. I really want to get much better at my CRM system and making sure that I'm putting all my notes in there and that follow the Harvey McKay 80 things, right? Find out as much as possible about every person I come in contact with so that I'm armed with information to develop the relationship. It's yes, a strategy, but also a very kind thing to do. It's putting the other person in front and being mindful of them and what they enjoy. And it's just changing the perspective of everything being about focused on me and what I have to say versus what they want to accomplish and how can I help them. Follow up systems will help me do that. And I'm looking forward to it. I just have to sit down and do it. So, like everybody else, I have an accountability partner. And if she's listening right now, guess what we get to talk about soon? Yeah, there's also that. So, back to the making sure you have your foundation. So, your foundation, as a reminder, is knowing yourself, like how you want to show up in the world. All of that is not only your brand identity, but it is also your vision, your mission, purpose, all of the strategic planning kind of stuff would go into that foundation. What is it that you're really trying to accomplish in the world? Right down to your culture, because how your culture is will also permeate that energy out. The people you work with are your salespeople, even if they don't have the salespeople title. They're walking examples of your brand. So keep that in mind as you're developing out this foundation, how you want your business to show up in the world. And then the second thing is know your person, know your target audiences very well. Gather all the information you possibly can. Know the customer journey, define that out. Couple reasons why, so you'll know a better idea of what they probably will do and you're prepared for it. That's the key. Are you prepared for that? You can call them funnels, you can call them whatever you want, but most customer journeys are pretty simple. You just literally draw out a path. And then at some point, you might have a funnel within one of those milestones along the path. And that's a whole different conversation, setting up digital funnels. They do work, but you have to have your foundational stuff in place before a funnel will work. Now, that leads me to another point. We're only seeing the end result of that marketing activity from another company. Because of what I do in so many areas, I see a butt ton of things from coaches selling get where you want to be quick programs. And I say that as I roll my eyes. It feels like it's the get rich quick stuff because they think that's my biggest pain point is to be a 7-figure coach in 18 months. Like not for me, but because I have coach in my title. The second one is marketing tactics. So all of the shiny objects for all the marketing tools, and the things that I would need to do marketing better, video production, audio production, graphic design, new CRMs, new, like, y'all just don't even know how much stuff is out there that can be very distracting. And it's also when I'm in the business trying to create and accomplish new things, be innovative myself, I look at the end result of what they've done and I'm like, what the hell's the point? I've already lost this game. They're so far ahead of me. When in fact, it probably took them 2 years to launch a 2-minute video. It takes some time to develop your foundation so that it is rock solid. What am I actually going after in my business is another question back. How do you want to show up? There's the type of businesses out there that are the flash in the pan. They are on purpose set up to be sellable within 18 to 24 months. On purpose. They want to get as much money as they can out of it and get out. Then there's other businesses like mom and pops who are just trying to live out a dream. They love what they do and they're going to put it out in the world. Their first few years of business, they're not going to make any profit, not going to make any real money, probably not take a vacation either. Barely have some days off because they're putting every ounce of energy they have and probably every last penny they have into making that business succeed. Some do, some don't. That's why we call that 2 to 3 year mark. If you make it past that hump, that's a whole new level of different adversity. But now you've kind of got the hang of things, right? Now you've proven that you'll stick with it. Now what? That's just how business is going to work. I'm in it for the long haul. I have two brands of business. I have the marketing company, Eagle Eye Strategic Marketing, which thank you, team, for being a sponsor for this, and Crusados, which is Strategic Leadership Development, also a sponsor of the show. And between those two companies, I, of course, am fairly busy. And I want longevity in my businesses. This is not a flash in the pan. So my game for this business looks different than somebody else's game. I'm in a different arena. We're not even playing in the same Olympics kind of thing. We're not in the same. But the comparison is a thief of joy is true. If I'm comparing myself to somebody else's end result and I'm barely even started on my project, I've already defeated myself because I've taken that in and made it personal. Things to work on as a business owner, as a creative business owner who wants to continue to put good things out in the world and has quite the impatient spirit as it is. It's rough. Some days it can be really rough on my mental health and my emotional stability. But I've at least got it narrowed down to just a couple of minutes and then I move on to the next thing. I recenter because I know my foundation. I know how I want to show up and I know what my business is here for. I know what I'm here for and I know who I'm here for. I'm here for you guys. I love small business. I love my franchisees. I love the small business who created something from absolute scratch. I love the ones who are out here hustling and making it happen. The ones that want to sell off in a couple of years, those are the ones I'm a little bit more curious about. I don't have enough of those in my network to really understand. Like they just hop from one to the next to the next. Most of them that I know though are younger, and I'm just curious how that works for them. However, like that's a whole generational conversation. And maybe I put a panel together. Ooh, that's a great idea. Anyway, I digress. So some things that we also need to remind ourselves as business owners is that what we do see out there, like when we're scrolling social media and we're seeing somebody else's, beautiful images of whatever, like whatever you say, oh, that'd be nice. That's their end result image that has been staged on purpose so that you see this wonderful snapshot. Think about how you put stuff out on social media when you want everybody to think everything's perfect and wonderful and great and good. I the more raw content can be, the more I believe it. If it is very staged, I have a hard time thinking that that moment was anything but stage. Like, what is the context that led up to that? What is everything? I don't have enough detail to know if it's real or not. I love the fantasy, the beautiful end result fantasy picture is amazing and it warms my heart kind of thing. However, I also know that back in the business sense, if somebody is putting out there, oh, I've made $4,000 in a day, they never, not one time, have told you how long it took them to get to $4,000 in a day and how much did it cost them to get to $4,000 in a day. The process in which you have to get in there and set something up on anything, whether it be a Shopify or Squarespace, Wix, whatever. Okay. I'm not a big Wix fan. It's clunky to me anyway. That's my personal preference. I'm sure other people love it. And that's why I let other people work on it. When you get somebody that shows you their like financial end result, they don't tell you on the front end the work and the cost to them it took to get to that point. They eventually got there, which is great. How much did they fuck up before they got there? How many times did they look around and go, oh, I guess I'm eating ramen again tonight? You don't know that part of the story, and they're not going to tell you. They're going to tell you the end result. And that's the sneaky side of marketing. That's the manipulative side of marketing. And to some degree, we all need to know how to hit that pain point. If my pain point is lack of revenue all the time, then I'm looking at how can I get revenue faster? And I keep asking myself that. Well, shit like that's going to come up because the algorithm, everything's listening to you, is going to give you what they think you need. Well, it's not the case in this case. Doing fine. I just want to tell all my little listening devices, shut up. You don't know me for real. Just because I'm complaining about something out loud to myself doesn't mean I need your solution. I will figure this out. So that goes into AI, which is a whole different conversation. There's so many extra tentacles to these conversations around your marketing foundation. This is how marketing ends up working too. But that foundation is where you come back to the center point. It's also, if you have your strategy in place, the thing that helps you wake up and do it all over again tomorrow, that foundation is important. I love the people I work with. They're amazing and creative and sometimes stuck. And I can help be the catalyst to unstick them. And when they take off, it's exciting to just get to be a part of that. I've been a little spark somewhere along the way in their own heroic journey of their own business life, of their own life in general. And when I can see them skyrocket, my favorite moments are when those business owners have more time with their family and they get to take vacations. Because I know that is always a top three. I just want to be able to take this vacation. Like they just need a break. They don't want to leave the business. They love their business. They would do their business 24/7 for the rest of their life. But there is those moments that they just need to recharge. And having that time away, and I got to help them set things up so that they could. Oh, I love that for them. I love that for them because I know how I feel when I am able to get away and recharge, which is what I'm going to do this afternoon in that sunshine. I'm going to go find a park and walk around in it. So, as a quick wrap up to this, remember your marketing plan basics still hold true regardless of what communication channels are out there, regardless of how Facebook changes, regardless of how everything else changes, which, by the way, if you haven't figured out by now, your stuff is not really your stuff when you put everything on social media. So they can make changes all the time or deny you things. Make sure you're gathering your potential clients, your audience, gathering their email because you now own that information and you get to decide how to communicate and nurture those relationships through email. And if you need some help with that, I got a friend, Charlene Burke. Amazing. Contact her. I may have her on just for email stuff at some point. Um, she has been a guest before, but I'm not sure we talked about emails. Anyway, so remember the big three things. How do you want to show up for your business? How do you want your business to show up in the world? Who are you showing up for? Do you have their customer journey laid out? Do you know your target audiences well enough to be able to know ahead of time what they might do? And what kind of problem are you really solving for them? So that way you know how to talk about the problem without coming across salesy. And that's a communication piece. Um, because then you can determine what the tactics are, where they really spending most of their time digitally, and you want to be able to provide content that helps grab. I was trying to say gather and grab their attention quickly where their eyeballs are, because as Gary Vaynerchuk likes to say a lot, eyeballs are attention. That's the currency of digital marketing is eyeballs, and he ain't wrong. So how to be able to get somebody's attention and say what you need to say in less than 3 seconds, you better have that foundational statements ready. You better. Like that. If you don't have that, you don't know how to translate things into 3 seconds worth of content, which means you can't use a whole lot of words. So think about that for a hot second. So, and then also a quick reminder, what you see out there is only a snapshot of the end result. It is not giving you the full context of all of the work it does take to get something together to put out there. But here's the thing. I just saw an episode, been binge watching Facts of Life. We'll talk about that later too. I just saw an episode and trying to make the girls were trying, somebody was trying to make a decision and whether or not to go into medical school because she had just gotten, she's getting married and got pregnant and blah, blah, blah. Like she would be 36 before she got out. And Blair looks at her and says, "You're going to be 36 anyway." Like, you know what? You ain't wrong. It's a lot of work to get to that end result that you want in your business, but the time's going to pass anyway. Put the work in. Don't reach for something in your marketing activity, because you have to have marketing to let people know about how you're solving problems for other people through your business. You have to market. You have to get out there and say stuff. Get those foundational statements in place. Do that necessary work so that everything else feeds from that. And everything else flows so much quicker and better for you when you put the work in on the front end. If you have not done that by now, please do so. If you need some help, contact me. And even if I'm not the right fit, I also know people. So do not hesitate to reach out. Love to make sure you get help in your marketing efforts for your business. Check out it. Other things to check out. I really like how StoryBrand puts their things together. So if you want to check out a bigger idea, bigger concept, get the StoryBrand book. Get started with that. I believe you can go to storybrand.com. Google it. It's easy to find. I really like their stuff. They also have a podcast out there. And anybody that's on my MPN network, Marketing Podcast Network, check them out too. You don't have to listen to me all the time, although I really like that. So tell your friends. But that's been Christy's Corner for today. Is some big things to remember about your marketing is always come back to that foundational basic. It's going to be there for you and keep you solid and keep you strong throughout the rest of your business, no matter what communication channel you use. What tactic or activity you have to learn next is always going to be in flux, but your foundation will not. It will not leave you behind. So with that, I thank you again for participating in this or listening, watching, however you find us. Make sure to hit those subscribe buttons. And thank you again for showing up for Small Business Success Talk. I've been your host, Christy Smallwood, and I'll catch you again on the next episode.